Welcome to Grolix Nights, the Grolix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Savannah razzing us off the beginning. She says, damn, it's nearly 8:30, bruh. Dude, it's barely after 8:15, which is our proper start time at this point.
Yeah.
And you know what's really going to make you mad, Savannah? We've probably been sitting here in the video area since about 8. A little after, about 8 o'clock.
Yeah. We have some chatting to do, though,
It's pre-show. We just don't record the pre-shows anymore.
Yeah.
Why should anyone enjoy those?
Right. All right. So here's what's on the agenda tonight. We are going to discuss WandaVision, and WandaVision's pulling the MCU full meta. And we are going to then jump into, as per the title says, top 10 killer couples in film. I don't know if it's really the top 10, but they're like 10 that are kind of fun to talk about.
And a couple are really great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
We lost it. We haven't even gained people yet. We haven't even gained as many people as we just lost.
Yeah,
Okay.
Somewhere in the universe, someone's like, I should really watch the Grolix Podcast Nights show tonight. And then they were like, yeah, no.
All right. So, hey, you two, how you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Oh, thumbs up. That's great for audio.
So, Melanie's probably just doing thumbs up as well. She's not on video.
Yeah, camera's not even on. Like 2 thumbs up.
no, I'm sorry. I was reading Savannah's comments.
Savannah says, I still haven't started WandaVision yet because I actually started paying for the Young Turks 15 years later, and I'm paying. Yeah, I for a short time, I was, what do they call it? I guess a member or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's cool, but I find I didn't like, I'm on again, off again with the Young Turks. I'll go through periods where I watch them fairly religiously. And then time periods where I'm like, I don't need.
They're not even very religious.
No, that's right.
They're not religious really at all. But yeah, I love Anna, but Jank anymore is an old man to me, and so it's hard. It's hard to watch.
Ooh, he needs to. Yeah, he gets on his 3 stories or catchphrases, and he just rails it over and over. I would agree.
But
sorry.
That being said, I'm all for supporting independent media. It's
Absolutely.
much more reliable and hardworking than anything you'll find on a network.
Well, and one thing about like Young Turks, it's not unbiased news. They clearly have a bias, but they're upfront about it. But they still report the events accurately. They, as far as I've noticed, do not kind of twist the facts to fit a certain narrative. They're like, here's what it is. We either really like this or we hate it and we're going to complain about it. And so that's just kind of the way it goes. Savannah says, Anna seems to have gotten angry as she's aged. Dude, the Trump years, I think were real rough on Anna with the Young Turks.
That makes sense.
The last half a year or better, they would report on it constantly, right? Which I get, but she was so sick of it. She would get so frustrated every time. And it's like, you do this every day. I mean, that's probably the reason, but
good for you.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think part of it is she, for a period of time when Jake was running for an office, had more control.
Yeah, she was like the main producer or executive producer or whatever.
And after he came back, she lost some of that control, and she doesn't like the direction that he takes it sometimes. I think that's what a lot of her anger is about also.
True, yeah.
But we're not the Young Turk show, so come on, guys, let's move on.
It's Savannah's doing. Hey, we're just catering to our audience, okay?
Yeah.
I know Savannah likes that talk because she's where I discovered Young Turks from.
Yeah.
But this is not the Young Turk show. And we did lose a viewer during that.
Oh.
Whoops.
Oh, well. So what if you guys, hey, before we jump into like the main topics, Savannah says I made you guys political. We didn't really get political about it, though. We're just discussing the Young Turks, which is a political show. But Savannah not watching WandaVision actually got me thinking, and we'll give a heads up, but there will be WandaVision spoilers later. We can't not.
Yeah.
We can't
At least
not.
one that is like, holy cow. Spoiler.
It's the best that it's Thor Ragnarok aside, it might be the best Marvel thing ever.
Yeah.
It was great.
I wonder if that's the potential. Oh, so there was a headline. There's headlines a while ago about supposedly what's her name, Olsen little sister, Scarlet
Wanda?
Witch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Supposedly she had said like she had teased there's going to be like a Luke Skywalker level, reveal. And looking further into it, because at the time I didn't really care. Apparently, she didn't really just like out say that. Somebody asked, and she's like, "Yeah, sure, okay." So that's entertainment news. Elizabeth Olsen, thank you. I wonder if this is what she had in mind, or if there's something else. Because to be honest, I don't think the MCU has a Mandalorian style like big moment that it could drop.
Yeah.
This is pretty close in spirit though, because it's the most like unexpected.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming at all. Like Holly kind of thought the thing, and then I was like, but whoa.
Right.
Like she caught the one thing, and then I was like, but wait.
I mean, the spoilers for Mandalorian, I don't have to get too far into it. The season's over, but I had been spoiled on the big Mandalorian. I don't think, did we even really talk about it much? Maybe we did. I had been spoiled about the big Mandalorian thing at the end of this, season two?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I wasn't spoiled on was the age.
Oh yeah.
For whatever reason, like I don't think about the like the time frame that show is set. So I'm expecting like somewhat sloppy Joker Luke, right? Not babyface. So that was a good surprise still. And this is similar in that.
Yeah.
The character in itself is not a big surprise. It's the presentation that was the big surprise.
Right.
But before we get into that, Savannah asked what happened with Gina, actress from Mandalorian. She's gone. Gina, what's her name?
Carrero.
The one I was complaining about during the first season, because I'm like, she's not good. She's not a good actor.
Right.
She's gone because she
pulled a Mel Gibson.
Yeah, basically. I mean, listen.
Right.
Yeah, so basically it was comments, she got canceled. Straight up, she got canceled. But she got canceled because she had likened being hated for her political views to being Jewish during the Holocaust, which is kind of a bridge too far for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the sentiment is eye-rolling. I don't know if it's worth getting like your career totally destroyed. I think you could say worse things for sure. Not to make light of that.
Right.
That just comes across as like edgy kids saying edgy things. But
it's a sensitive subject.
It is a sensitive subject, yeah. At
least she wasn't denying that it happened, or saying that she supported it, which is more, I think, in line with the Mel Gibson issues.
Yeah, this is, I don't feel too bad. She's
right.
And this isn't the first time she said controversial things. I mean, that's kind of what it stems from, like the comment itself about being disliked for her political opinion. She's taken a lot of slack, or maybe that's not the right way to phrase it, but she has been at the brunt, or whatever. She's caused a lot of controversy with the things she said already before. Like this wasn't the first time I'd seen her being called to get canceled off of Mandalorian for, usually it's trans things related to trans rights and stuff like that. So, which we definitely don't have to get into.
Yeah.
But that's what the deal with her was.
Right.
It's interesting. Like, obviously, I don't know. I suppose she's easy enough character to write out. She was barely there in the second season. It, I guess, kind of sucks continuity wise, but she wasn't very good.
Well, I mean, it's like the Roseanne Barr thing. Like,
Right.
they can take your name off the show. Like, you're not. No one is irreplaceable. Anyone can be expendable.
I was thinking about the cancel thing because people are like, oh, it's like it's like when we were talking about that movie that Melanie had watched, the was it Fine Young Woman or something, Proper Young Woman or something?
Promising Young Woman.
Yeah. And just that line in the trailer about it's being accused, it's every man's worst fear. Like, you hear similar things about that where people are like, cancel culture, that anybody can get canceled. And it's like, well, even normal people will get fired from their jobs for far less offensive things posted on social media. Celebrities aren't above it. And no, not everyone gets canceled. Like,
yeah, you get canceled when you say super offensive things.
Right. I mean, right.
So
multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, don't double and triple down.
Right.
If you like your job, like they give you a pass, don't test that water anymore.
And if anything else, just wait a while. Mel Gibson's making movies still.
Yeah.
And he said, dude, the thing he said, I can't say that sticks with, that pops in my head randomly once in a while. I'm like, how is that guy still able to get acting gigs after some of the recordings of the things he said?
Yeah.
How?
Right.
Money.
And Adam Kovic's gone from where? From, like, God, it makes me so frustrated. Anyway.
Yeah, don't put things in your butt.
Don't videotape yourself putting things in your butt. But you can see all kinds of racial slurs. We're all over the place. Hey, what do you guys watch?
Turn.
Oh man, Adam Kovic. I liked him on Funhouse. All right. Anybody? None of you guys watch Funhouse, and nobody knows what I'm talking about. But if you do, you do. If you know. Well, you know, because you know me.
Exactly.
What do you guys been watching anything else interesting before we jump into the main topic?
It's basically been WandaVision.
Which is Jesse like, let's get to the main topic.
No, I just literally have not done anything else.
Right.
That hasn't been like work or whatever related.
I don't know, Randy. I always say I have nothing, and then you're like, yeah, you watch this. So did I watch anything?
Yes, you did. Savannah says she's still working through the Ken Burns special on jazz. Paul, I'll put it on the screen. I'm not going to read it. So Melanie and I watched a few movies, actually. I think that's the main thing Melanie finished. You know what? We'll start with Melanie.
What?
You finished season 2 of Cobra Kai.
I did,
yeah. So you got the big cliffhanger.
Right. We did not complete. We did not continue after that. I don't know if she plans on it, but I was like, if I can get you to the season finale, season 2, then I'm good.
I thought it was ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's over the top.
It's definitely over the top. It's like the problems with everyone everywhere. It's all a lack of communication. And for them, it's like just over and over and over, and it like to the point where it annoys me, which is why Randy doesn't like to watch it with me, because I'm like, seriously, come on. But I can understand how I can be annoying to watch things with too. But he stuck with me through the second season because he wanted me to see a like a musical in fight form, practically, in the high school.
I love the high school part, man.
And I'm like, oh, so yeah, this is like everybody bursting into song in the middle of class for 10 minutes, except it's a fight scene.
Yes.
And it was a little ridiculous. And I am too realistic of a person to watch that. So at the end, I'm not sure what the fear is supposed to be, but I'm like, oh my gosh, did you see how he landed on that? I think he might have busted his spine and he's going to be paralyzed. But that doesn't seem to be what anybody else is worried about. So I don't know. I guess maybe I'll have to actually continue on with the next season to see what happens.
In the show? Well, in the show, it was more like they did treat it. They didn't really address that. It was more like, is he going to come through like at all?
Yeah,
like, is he going to die?
Yeah.
Okay. And I sort of get that, but he didn't land on his head. He landed on his spine, on a bad thing to land on with your spine. So my initial thought and my thought until the end of the thing was, oh goodness, this karate boy is about to be paralyzed, and then what a horrible thing for somebody who has found a physical way to express themselves. Right. It just seems it would seem like a twice as bad as for a lazy person. You know what I mean? Something like that. And
arguably the most likable character in the show.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another reason I think that I was having issues with the second season, just because I don't like that they used some of the characters in what I feel was a way that they would not act according to how they were presented to me in the first season. You know what I mean? Like I don't see he was still kind of a good guy even when he was being a bad guy, but I don't see him really being a bad guy at all. And it was very frustrating to me for them to try and play him that way. That's a lot of the issue I had with a lot of the show really so far is if you're going to write a character, you can't just completely change that character on a whim and expect me to find it believable. But it is a decent show. It's okay. And if it wasn't good, I wouldn't get so upset about it. Maybe, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
That's the first time I've heard you acknowledge that it's good at all.
But it's the Grolix way, right? Like we got to tear it apart first.
Yeah.
Rewatching the second half of that, because me and Melanie were done watching it together, and so I finished the series. Then I was like, but what if we watch more? So rewatching the second half for a second time, whatever, you know what I'm saying. The plot does spin its wheels for a lot of the second half of that season. Like there is a lot of unnecessary. I mean, there's stuff that happens.
Yeah.
I don't know, the plot wise, it just gets so much better. I think third season, the second season is kind of an extension of the things that were somewhat irritating the first season, where it is just that miscommunication over and over, and it's that reset, and it's like, this isn't a sitcom. Like, have the arc move forward, and introduce new things instead of just spinning the wheels. But that last episode is I've already talked about it on the show. The last episode, man, it's like 10, 11 minutes long. That fight scene in the school, it's ridiculous. Oh my God, everyone should have assault charges. It's insane.
And then you're like, there's no way they can top that. Like I watched that thinking, holy cow, how did they not win a Golden Globe for that? How did they not win an Emmy? How did they not get an Emmy for that? I don't know.
It definitely makes that, especially that scene or scenes where you see everybody fighting. There's a few, It makes me appreciate the actors that actually are like, whoa, 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 like are super physical about it, and you can tell. Versus some of the actors who are like, what's the move? Okay. Oh, I'm supposed to run. Like,
right. Like you can
Yeah.
tell that Jacob Beltrand or Hawk, he
Mhm.
does most of his stunts.
Oh yeah.
Almost all of them that they will let him do, he does.
Yeah.
And so Sholo is about the same. Miguel, a
Lots
lot
of
of
energy.
a lot of his stuff is him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all I can say is I think her name's Tori. Anyway, Tori would beat Daniel's daughter any day because she can. I don't know what her actual name is, but I call her Daniel's daughter because they always called him Danielson. So anyway, Daniel's daughter. She can barely lift her.
Stingray.
She can barely lift her leg, above her hip, and she's supposed to kick Tori's butt when Tori looks like even if she didn't know karate, she would still beat her butt. Anyway,
She is. To be honest, the LaRussos are kind of the worst ones in terms of like
they are.
actors that probably don't really keep up with the like physical side in between seasons. Hey, by the way, what's up, Lee? What's going on? Lee says hashtag Stingray is creepy.
Yeah,
But
yes.
Then he backpedals and said, actually, I love Stingray. I like Stingray, the first episode he was in, as an analog for the neckbeard Karate Kid fans, the people that are watching the show. And that's what he is in that one scene. But then he just turns into Paul Blart. Like, we didn't need him the rest of the series.
Right.
Or the rest of the season.
I don't know. I was kind of worried. I mean, luckily he showed up to that one party in whichever episode that was with an adult, because otherwise,
it's extra creepy.
I was a little concerned. He's spending a little too much time with the kids. Okay.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, the fact that they had him show up with an adult woman as like his date, I think was probably a calculated decision.
Oh,
Just
probably.
like, we need to make sure it's clear he's not like, patrolling for these high school kids.
Right. Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, what else did we watch, Randy?
Okay. We watched The Lighthouse.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That's quite the laugh there.
Oh, it's quite the show.
The Lighthouse is it's written and directed by the guy who did The Witch.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are familiar with The Witch, it came out a few years ago, and it's like a very slow burn horror movie where everyone was very hard to understand because they spoke in like true old English and like, you needed like a translator. The Lighthouse is similar but way different. It's similar but more art house. And it's Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson. They're the two main cast. It's pretty much just them.
What a weird pairing right there.
Right?
Hello.
And it's like, what would you say? Early 1900s, and they're two people like they're lighthouse men or whatever, wikis as they call them or whatever. But they have to stay at this lighthouse and watch it for like 4 weeks or something, and they just kind of lose their minds. And it's like the aspect ratio is basically square. It's black and white, but it looks amazing. It's so well shot. And it's a weird combination of like psychological horror, because it's very trippy and strange. Weird humor. One of the best parts is Robert Pattinson yelling about the old man's GD farts and those farts. You just Willem Dafoe has this amazing monologue that goes for like 2-3 minutes straight, and it's just all like lead up to just a simple like quick punchline like laugh, and it's kind of amazing.
It is, and it's like 2-3 minutes of like a sailor's curse on another person, because it's like, may Triton's scepter turn you to sea foam and let your innards be picked by the buzzards, or I don't know. It's crazy.
It's and it's Willem Dafoe, so it's amazing.
It's just very strange.
It's very, if you're into art house film at all, or maybe not art house film, but you're into Willem Dafoe, or you just want to see Batman / sparkly vampire guy do something a bit more arty, which is generally seems like the stuff that he actually does most of the time now. It's a strong recommend. if you can't stand strange things at all, maybe not. But otherwise, I don't know. Most people, I'd say, yeah, give it a go. It's kind of bewildering, but still entertaining.
It's one of those things where through the whole thing, you're like, is this something that's supposed to be happening? Or are these people insane? And you're not really sure even after the movie ends. Because can I give a little bit away? And it's not even giving it away because this is my interpretation entirely.
Okay.
There was in the very beginning of the movie, he says, one of the Willem Dafoe's characters says to the other one something about it's your job to clean the cistern and whatever. And I'm like, I think they might have some mold growing in there that might be a psychoactive, that they shouldn't be drinking. And I kind of still stand by that. I think maybe they were just insane the whole time, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
I guess we won't wait and see. Well, you just have to decide for yourself because they don't really spell it out.
It's one of those things where it's like, when you think about certain events, like the end of the movie is not vague. Like you know what happens to these characters by the end. But like, even after that, you're like, there's certain parts where it's like, were they just crazy the whole time? Was the one guy crazy and we're just getting like unreliable narrator version of that? Was that character gaslighting the other character the whole time, part of the time? Like it's that kind of thing. But I don't know. It's really good. I give it 5 stars. So
yeah.
Whoa.
It's real good. It is real good if you like that kind of thing. That is. Although there was one, and I gotta think maybe this is real. There was this one scene where Willem Dafoe was laying in a hole, and they were shoveling dirt on him, and he kept talking, and it was like getting in his mouth, and I was like, "That's real." Like that.
Yeah. Willem Dafoe's a champ. He's delivering another monologue the whole time, getting dirt shoveled on his face, and it like ends up covering him, and he just the whole time, and it's all one take, and it's like, or that shot is, and it was pretty amazing.
And he's like chewing on dirt. Ugh, blech. I don't know. I hope it wasn't dirt for his sake, but I think maybe it really was.
Let's see. Here we go. I'll just pull up a quick image, and then we'll move on to the next thing. That's a still from the movie. Oh. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's very, very dynamic looking.
Excellent cinematography.
Right.
Where can you watch it?
I think it might be a rental still. I could be wrong. Okay. I think it might still be a rental.
So VOD type streaming services.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's been out for a while. It's like I knew it was on HBO Max, I think, for a little bit, and when I went to go find it again, it was gone. So it's a VOD deal. But it came out in 2019, so it's not super new. The other thing we watched, and this is this segment always goes so much longer than we expect, isn't it? We'll see what happens with Killer Couples, okay? The other thing we watched, and this is kind of a follow-up on what we were talking about last episode. Can you start posting your Letterboxd reviews post Grawlix? It takes away the surprise of your rating. Oh, well, I mean, Paul, I see what you're saying.
Oops.
But
then he just won't do it.
That is kind of a worry, but with GCU, I guess I wouldn't wait till after we posted GCU episodes, but I'd wait to make sure Jasper couldn't see them before we recorded the episode.
Yeah.
But GCU, I did kind of think about it. With Grawlix, I'll think about it. The other thing we watched was Synchronic, and we talked about that a little bit last week because it's by that filmmaker duo, Moorhead and what's his name?
Less Head.
Moorhead and Benson, Alan Moorhead and Justin Benson, and we were talking about The Endless, but they seem to really focus on like mind-bendy thriller sci-fi stuff. And this is their most recent movie and probably their higher profile movie because it's got what is it, Anthony Mackie? yeah, Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan, who is somebody, but I can't think of what he's been in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 50 Shades of Grey guy. I don't know. He's been in other stuff though too. Anyhow, it was okay.
Yeah, I definitely would say I preferred some of the other movies of theirs that I've seen, and this one was fine, but I feel like it was toned down, like the sci-fi aspect of it was toned down quite a bit, or maybe the mind-bending aspect. I don't know.
Yeah.
To make it more palatable to the general public, or so that it would have a better chance of being a blockbuster. That I don't think it was, but it definitely, they got more money, so they had to play it a little safer, I feel.
It did seem that way because it's there is like time travel and psychedelic drug stuff going on. That's like the main thing. But where this movie surprised me is a little bit of a letdown compared to their other movies. Not that the other, like The Endless kind of explains what's happening. This, by a certain point, you're crystal clear. They have exposition dumped exactly what's happening, and we're going to kind of explore it. And it's actually not, I mean, the concept's kind of weird, but it's, at first it seems really trippy, and then it's like, oh, well, that's just because of this. It's not really trippy anymore. It's just a sci-fi concept, and it's very clear what's happening. It's almost like it's not the same. It's not on the same level. But think like my beef with Inception. I love Inception, but I was like, it's a little too dumbed down. Like they kind of over explain it. It's dreams, but there's still kind of concrete rules, which seemed weird to me, because it's like, well, it's still got to be kind of like mainstream friendly. People have to get it. That's a little bit, I feel, the issue here is there are concrete rules once it's established. And then, yeah. And I kind of could have done with exploring the concept more.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I think they could have made it much more actiony if they had not limited themselves to these specific rules that they applied. Like you have to be in this geographic location, and you will be in the same geographic location just at a different time. That limited them extremely, in my opinion. But even with that rule, they could have used that rule to explore more. Like, well, what if I come back from this time at this other geographic location? Then what time do I end up at? And they didn't explore any of that. You know what I mean? So they could have made this a much more interesting and much more action-filled movie if they had taken the time to explore any of those other possibilities, but they didn't.
Paul says you don't have to quote unquote get a movie. Yeah, but I mean, that's our point. Like, and it's not a bad movie. Don't get me wrong. And the concept is interesting, but it is clearly like a bit more straightforward than some of their past movies. And you kind of do have to make sure it's not. I mean, if you get once you get a certain budget, chances are filmmakers usually have to sacrifice some of the things that they might otherwise do. And I don't know if that's the case here, but I'm assuming because it just feels a little bit more mainstream than some of their other movies. That said, it was missing the fun of the other two movies of theirs that we had seen. These two characters are miserable. They are miserable guys. And it's not
they're EMTs though. So EMTs in general are, and I have worked with EMTs a little bit in the past, and they are kind of miserable people. They deal with death and dying constantly, and they don't even allude to it. They say it outright in the thing. There's a trope basically of drug addicted paramedics because it's so hard for them to do their job and handle that emotionally. They end up taking substances to try and cope and continue on every day, for the extreme hours that they work. So, it makes sense for it to be a downer.
It is atmospheric though. Like,
yeah.
And I guess maybe that's where it is. Yeah, they are downer characters, whereas the characters in the other movies were kind of fun. Anyway, I liked it. I gave it I gave it 3.5. Just because 3 seemed a little low. I still liked what was going on, but I liked it. I didn't love it. I'm still. We have more of their movies to watch though, so I'm sure we'll follow up in the future with more head, and I'm gonna forget the Benson.
Benson.
Okay,
Okay.
that went so long.
Sorry.
Why are you sorry? I'm half of it at least. Let's talk about WandaVision and see what happens after that.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not trying to bring you down.
No, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Are you serious, Paul? Well,
Paul says, when I got ran over, the responders looked at me and said, "Suck it up. I've seen worse." That's crazy.
Whew.
I would have some choice words with them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them would be like, "Ow, I'm in pain."
Yeah, no kidding.
All
You're
right.
gonna ask me like on a scale of 1 to 10 or something?
No kidding.
So let's talk about WandaVision.
Last time we talked about WandaVision with Maddie D, we just talked about the first 2 episodes, which were the black and white episodes.
Mhm.
What are we up to now? 5?
Yes, episode 5, and I think we're in the 80s in the most recent episode.
Mhm. That's what
So-
the hair tells me.
Because we had a 70s episode, then we had a weird little interlude episode that kind of explained to us what was happening in
thank
the
you.
real world, and
Mhm.
then we had the latest episode.
Right. And the latest was 80s, a little early 90s, kind of, because there was definitely a little bit of like Home Improvement and Full House mixed
Yeah.
in there. And
They definitely were pulling on the family ties.
family ties. Oh yeah.
Mhm. Family Ties, Growing Pains,
Mhm.
Full House. Those were the 3 that I got from the very beginning, from the like opening credits.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, the painted thing at the beginning for sure was
Right.
straight up family ties.
Hmm.
So the 70s was episode
Mhm.
3.
Mhm.
Have we really talked much about it at all since then? Because so episode 4, I was like, okay, this is what I kind of expected the show would turn into when we're like, because that episode almost entirely we're off with shield or sword or whichever it is, and it was okay. I was fine with it, but I'm like, this is the side of the MCU that does not particularly interest me, and I get it. They're kind of like the governmental agency tie to between superheroes and real world, so
Right.
Hmm.
that said, it was okay. I guess episode 4 is a big info dump in terms of like
Hmm.
what's happening from the outside. Like,
Right.
what are people actually, we kind of get some answers, at least in terms of like just the idea that it's actually the shows that we see are actually being broadcast outside of the thing. It's like, why though? Like, I understand if that's
Right.
how people are experiencing it inside of the little bubble. Why is it actually getting broadcast out?
Well, they also had the like I always call it the Smallville moment, because like Chloe Sullivan would always like make this major leap in logic that
Mhm.
like none of the evidence would bear you towards this, like none of the clues would automatically lead you there, but then she would just have the brilliant connection of maybe it's this, and
Yes.
so like you have that moment where she's like, I'm gonna need an old CRT TV in here.
Right.
Right.
And it's like,
Yes.
that does it. I've been watching this all day.
Is that character also?
I
They
think
don't
she's
need.
from Thor, right?
Is she okay? That
I
makes
think.
sense. Like
I think so.
maybe the first one or the first and second. Yeah. First off, she didn't need a CRT TV. You can still, you just need an analog antenna. Okay, you can still pick those up on a regular
Right.
TV. You just need you need an analog to digital converter. So that was ridiculous, but whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't understand WandaVision technology. So
yeah, I was gonna say I am not, even though I love stars and everything to do with them. I'm not an astronomer, but I don't know why an astronomer would be the person that they use to come up with all these technological and signal insights necessarily.
yeah, I mean, I guess the government agency she's working for the government at that point. She's not like necessarily a part of the agencies, but I would like you check the signals. I would assume they would have done that before.
Oh yeah.
And her character's okay. She's entertaining. She's a little bit like overly quirky, humorous tech girl, but she's okay. I mean, she's at least that's what her character is, but she's fairly well written.
Thank God she's there though, because otherwise that boardroom would be
right.
Yeah, no, she brings levity to that.
You're right. Otherwise, it would be so bland.
Yeah,
she reminds me of Zoe Deschanel in real life.
Oh, okay. I was like, where is this going?
No, I would agree. I was snickering at Paul's comment. I'm not going to read it. I have a feeling that's a typo, but it's a hilarious one. I'll put it up on the screen for just a moment. I'm pretty sure that's a typo. So, however, we do get
right. There's the confirm right there. Yeah. That was
that predictive text. Am I right?
Oh no.
So, we do get confirmation that with the like Kevlar and the whatever, that whole like sudden like realization, that it's not just telepathic. It's actually like altered, which is like, so are they actually going to have it? Because they still could have up to this point played it off as like Wanda just has telepathic abilities,
right?
Which is a little disappointing considering she has like reality altering abilities in the comics. So are they going to do that then? Does she actually have
kind of seems like it, unless someone's augmenting her abilities, and that's been a popular theory, is that it's not just Wanda, that there's something else going on here. The one thing that was interesting to me is that Monica Rambeau gets blasted out and she's still in her her 60s and it's been permanently altered even outside of the dome, but Vision can't leave. So I feel like there's more to it, but like it's an interesting rule that they're setting up and yet breaking. I don't know. I'm curious about that.
Also, it probably wasn't a big reveal, but maybe it was. Paul said like the jump rope. Yeah, I guess they had established that earlier, because the guy's tether or whatever who went in, the end, like when they pulled it out, was a jump rope, because that makes sense in the world that,
right.
I was actually pretty amused by that a little bit. I'm sorry, I totally lost what I was going to say.
No, that's fine.
What was I saying?
I bring up a thing?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay, so in the third episode, I believe, yes. In the third episode, she gives birth to the twins.
Right.
Which is fine and is super interesting in its own, because, creating life out of nothing is an amazing thing. But nobody ever has addressed, at least yet, what about the other children in the town? Because I seriously doubt this was an entire town of only adults. So what happened to all of the other children? Especially when you consider the earlier episodes where they're like, it's all for the kids or whatever, that they say like at the talent show and such. So where are the other children from this town? That's something that's been on my brain
When didn't they mention that in the most recent episode where they were like, "Where are the other children?"
Right.
Didn't Vision himself ask that?
Yeah, towards the end, I think of this last episode. Yeah.
Okay.
I love the bits where, I mean, it's kind of like the Truman Show moments for Vision, where he's like, wait, when he just, I mean, by the end of this last episode, he's fully aware that, like, what is this? None of this is, like, what are you doing? None of this is real, or you're at least controlling all of it. Why? What's happening?
Well, even the kids, like Wanda's the only one fooling herself, and then the people that she's either puppeteering or in control of somehow.
Right.
Right.
And that's an odd thing too. It's like, at least the neighbor lady seems to be aware of that situation. And then again, even to an extent, the people that the co-workers of Vision, given the opportunity, you know, they're like, oh my God, no, she's doing all this, when they can break away from the character that she's forcing them to play. But in general, they all just seem to, even if they know, they don't really seem to be fighting too hard against it. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I think there's something to the characters that when they are aware of it, because the one guy there is an echo. Hey, Jesse,
is it me?
Probably.
I can turn it down. Is that better?
Hey.
Yeah.
I'm not here. Okay. Hey, Melanie, talk at me.
Hey, Randy.
Yeah, that's better. Paul said I was gonna talk about Vision not being able to leave. Oh, I was just talking about it. It was when Vision has the like, wait, what's happening here moment. I really like the part where the neighbor lady.
Yeah.
She knows. She, like, by the end of in this episode, in the most recent episode, and by the time this goes out on the audio feed, there will be another episode out. But she's like fully aware, and so she's a character though, right? Like, I remember you guys talking about her specifically.
Well, it's heavily theorized that Agnes is what's her name? Yeah, she's got a name, and yeah, she's a much bigger character, and so it's likely that because she's an actual witch character in their storyline.
So she's totally in on it. Like, she's completely in on it because she doesn't even, like, she sees it, she doesn't pay attention to it, and she even acknowledges, and I think even kind of pushes for her to bring the dog back, right?
Oh, so, right.
Along with the kids. And to Melanie's point, the kids are, but I love that. I'm sorry, I'm so all over the place. I love that moment though when Vision clearly behaves in a way that, like, they weren't expecting, and she looks to Wanda. She's like, "You want me to do it again? You want me to do that take again? You want me to start from the top?" Like an actor, like,
yeah,
should we redo that? Like, he obviously flubbed this. And both Wanda and Vision are both like, "Wait, what's happening?" I love that. I love those moments. Those are my favorite thing of it.
Where, like, the kids are like, "Where's Dad? Oh, he's at work. But it's Saturday. No, it isn't. It's Monday. But it was Saturday this morning."
Oh, Paul says the Agnes character didn't have a backstory when they were trying to figure out who was in the town. Yeah, and you know, people, if you've watched any stuff about the show, like on YouTube or anything like that, you've probably seen this already. But there was a spoiler in episode 4 about the character that Vision, like, I guess, kind of releases for a moment. Coworker guy.
Oh yeah.
In the background, like, they had that moment was like written out, like documented, like a Shield document or whatever. But it was in the background an episode before the thing actually happened.
Funny.
We did watch a few. I can't think of many, but we did watch a video about, like, various Easter eggs and stuff, and it's definitely deep cut stuff that I would have never caught.
Mhm.
But I am pretty impressed with the amount of like Easter eggs and deep cut Marvel lore that they've seeded through just the 5 episodes so far.
Right.
There's definitely some Marvel nerds writing the Marvel show. Like they kind of know their stuff. So
Oh yeah.
I was impressed with that. Well, I mean, I also, man, the meta stuff's my favorite. That's why the Shield
Right.
stuff is like, okay, that's fine. But that's when I don't like it because it's like, well, that's reality creeping into the show. Darn it.
Right.
Which I knew that's where it was going to go. When everybody's like, it's weird. Is it too weird for MCU fans? And I'm like, no, it's just going to be a regular MCU show. And that's what it is.
Right.
Paul says the thing is packed with eggs. A baker's dozen in this thing. So whatever. I don't know, guys.
So do we get to the big
Let's
spoiler?
do it. Here's
Shall
the
we
big
talk about it?
spoiler. This is what it goes full meta. This is impressive though because this is reaching outside of the MCU itself and going meta. This is Deadpool style meta, and I
Right.
loved it. This is the best part of the show so far.
When I love how they played it in too, like they're having a fight and Vision is like really pushing back. Like Vision is like, there's something you're not telling me. What is going on? We're having a fight and we're not ending this until you tell me what's going on here. And in classic like TV sitcom fashion, there's a knock at the door. And Wanda is surprised by it too. And she claims that I'm not doing this. I did not do this.
There is a weird disconnect, and I guess maybe it's Wanda fooling herself, but there is a weird disconnect. For example, I was somewhat surprised when Wanda exits the like whatever her sphere and threatens the Shield people with, I don't think it was particularly played well. It was a little over the top in my opinion, but with how like straight up just villainous she kind of played it versus her in there when she's like seems shocked when these things don't go the way they're supposed to.
And she had her full on Marvel outfit, her Avengers outfit, and her Sokovian accent was thicker. Like in the show, she has no accent.
Also, while she's inside the show, well, real quick, one thing that we haven't brought up yet, when she's fighting with Vision, she tries to roll the credits, or someone tries to roll the credits, and it doesn't work, and I love that. That's great. But the other thing was,
Vision's just gonna argue through through the credits.
But there's things that happen, like the kids and other things, where she's like, no, you can't just do these things.
Oh, you can't just age up. Yeah.
Right. You can't just age up. You can't just bring people back from the dead. You know, like not that she's necessarily oblivious to what's going on around her, but more that she doesn't understand why things are the way that they are. That makes me think maybe she's not the big bad.
She even says she doesn't remember how it started.
Yeah.
It's slightly disappointing to me, I guess, in a way. I don't know why that she's not, because I think you're right. I mean, I think she's responsible for it being the situation, but I think she is also being manipulated. To someone else's end. She might just be, I think she's still doing it because of whatever grief.
Right.
She doesn't want to let Vision go.
I remember the point I was going to say, that she says this even to Vision, like she's like, every single person and everything they do and going to work and mowing the lawn and doing all this and doing all that, I'm not controlling all of that. Which is one of the main things that I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, perhaps she is and she's not aware of it, but just the fact that she's not aware of any of that, which you think would take up the majority of her attention if she were controlling the whole situation, makes me believe that she's not the main big bad.
I know they've established Mephisto, but I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely the popular theory right now
Mhm.
because it ties in to the because it ties so heavily into the Scarlet Witch storyline that they're also kind of touching on with the twins. But they haven't done anything like Mephisto, but it doesn't mean that they won't, because they've had a lot of stuff like it in, say, like Thor Ragnarok. You know, like Hela is literally Thor's sister, Queen of Hell, right there. So they could do something with it, and we've got characters like Loki out there. So it's entirely possible that it could be Mephisto, and they'll just take a MCU twist on it.
I do feel like, I mean, they are definitely leading up to cracking. They kind of already have with Doctor Strange, but Doctor Strange, the next Doctor Strange movie is in the she Wanda figures heavily into it, from what I understand, and it's Doctor Strange in the universe of madness, or whatever,
Multiverse of madness. Yeah.
And then also all those news stories about various actors reprising roles in Spider-Man 3 from other Spider-Man franchises. And then the big spoiler for this episode, and I'm like, so is DC and Marvel, are they racing to the big multiverse thing? Because we keep hearing about the Flash and how the Flash is going to pull in all these DC characters from other, you know, Michael Keaton and all that.
Right.
So,
and ironically, Sony beat them all to it with Spider-Verse.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I don't think that's Spider-Verse. I don't think was successful for that reason, but I think Spider-Verse was also kind of like, oh, we can do that if we want to and still have a successful thing. It won't lose people, which is probably a studio's thing. Like, we start introducing.
Is it too weird?
Right. So, as per usual with Marvel stuff, like, they're approaching it fairly smart. They like wade into it. It's not just all in. WB. It's not just all in all at once. So, but the big thing this episode, the best thing, I was not surprised when her brother turns up, because they kind of hinted at it.
They were hinting at it heavily, and that's the thing. Like, Holly was like, before we know, like, as soon as she sees Wanda's face, she knows.
Yeah. Yep.
And I hadn't seen that coming at all. But I really didn't see it coming when it was like, did they recast Pietro?
What's it? Is it like Evan Peters or something? What's his name?
Yeah.
Evan Peters.
Yeah.
So there it is. Like, it's Quicksilver, but it's the wrong Quicksilver. It's the Quicksilver from
No, it's the right Quicksilver.
It's the only Quicksilver left, baby.
And it's the Quicksilver that everyone loves and enjoys.
Right.
Because I must say, the movie that Quicksilver came from may not be the best movie, but he was the best element of that movie. And the Quicksilver they actually had with Wanda was kind of a boring nothing. I hate to say. But he wasn't an interesting character. And for them to pull in the obviously more well-liked version of that character is freaking fantastic. It's my favorite thing of this show so far.
Even if they don't acknowledge the X-Men thing, like, it's still a super meta thing for the MCU to do. But I'm curious if they will. I think, in a way, this is probably the smartest way to do it without totally jumping the shark off the bat. The smartest way.
I need to like rewatch this episode, because I think there's even more to it. Like, do they start asking the question of who is your dad? Like, do they start like seeding that in there too? Because now I'm like, is Magneto a thing now?
No, they did mention it, because they said something about somebody said something about his dad. I'm like, but that's not her real dad. But then they even mentioned something about that not being their real parents. I'm like, oh wait, okay, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
I am not a an X-Men. I mean, like, I watched a little bit of the X-Men cartoons, and I've seen some of the movies, but I don't think I've ever really. No, I take that back. I've read one or two of the comics also, but for the most part, I'm not an X-Men fan. I know X-Men is what got Randy into comics, and I do believe, Jesse, that you've read a lot of X-Men. How many flipping kids do Xavier and
Magneto have?
Magneto have? Yeah, it's like ridiculous.
Man, they're old. They got around.
They are Legion.
Yeah, exactly. Man,
Uh,
Legion is too good to pull into this. Legion, they wouldn't, but man, it'd be so
God, that'd
good.
be cool though.
yeah.
It'd be so good. Oh,
Can you imagine if for a minute Legion and Wanda got together? Their kids would be God.
yeah.
If they could focus.
That's true.
What was Legion's actual powers?
I thought each of his personalities had a different.
Yes, at least in the comics. In the comics, each of his personalities had a different power, and some of them were like, "Whoa."
In the show, yeah, they don't play that at all in the show.
Right.
The
He's
show
just
is,
like a super telepath, right?
Yeah, basically, he just gotta do whatever.
It wasn't even just a telepath, yeah, because he could alter reality.
Right.
That's true.
So basically, he can do whatever he wanted to. But yeah.
They're just like, well, we're just gonna take the essence of Legion, and that's the show itself.
Right. So you never know what's going on with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I love this twist though. It was so good.
Yeah.
Plus, I like that guy.
Right.
And his Quicksilver was because what was that? That was the second in the X-Men the second in the third X-Men trilogy.
Right.
Introduced him at the same time as the second Avengers movie came out with the MCU Quicksilver and
kick ass. The kick ass Pietro.
Yeah. And I can't believe that's the same kid.
Yeah.
Evan Peters' character just had more personality, and his segments, like in each of the movies he was in, he was given a special dedicated. This is the Quicksilver segment, and it was awesome.
Yeah,
and so it's hard to live up to that. Whereas the MCU Quicksilver was a Joss Whedon joke. His existence was basically the setup to a punchline.
Right.
So
he was always gonna be the guy that Joss would kill, because Joss has to kill someone.
Yeah. He does.
And I don't think it's just that I'm biased, but I might be biased because Evan Peters is my favorite actor from American Horror Story, he's freaking amazing. He should be in more things, and I would love them all. So I'm super excited to see more of him.
I agree. Yeah. So Paul just mentioned it for the second time. So Paul did shoot me a great idea, but he shot it to me like 20-25 minutes before we were supposed to go live. So about an hour before we were supposed to go live. But Paul sent me a message. He's like, you should find somebody to start the show as Randy.
Oh man.
And then like you guys we'll do the regular introduction. This is Randy, this is Jesse, this is Melanie. And then maybe you guys comment on how, like, wait, did Randy get recast? And then we'd like whatever technical difficulties and then come back just as like a nod to that. And I love the idea. Super fun. But it was like I was about to send you guys the invites and I was like, yeah, I don't really have time to set that up. But man, yeah, I love that idea.
Yeah. You should have instead, good idea, to add on that, you should have had someone else, like Paul, maybe, be Melanie.
Oh yeah, even better, because like it's just like an image. So be like,
yep,
Melanie, your voice and your icon's a little different this week.
I got a cold. No, I mean, Paul, it's one of those, like, ideas come to you when they come to you.
Yeah.
It was a good idea, though.
Yeah. I agree.
What are you guys thinking?
I think that it's late and we should, if not all of us, then I will offer myself up because I have nothing to do with my life right now. We should have a Valentine's Day special.
Okay.
To discuss.
I'm probably going to be hanging out with you that day. So are you saying we should do a Valentine's Day special and run through our this list of 10 killer couples in movies?
Yes.
Should we give them one of these? Or maybe we should talk about Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
We axed Bonnie and Clyde because that seemed too typical.
Right.
Oh, really? Okay, so no. I was being funny on two levels, or trying to be. I was like, we should we should get rid of Bonnie and Clyde. But I was also trying to be funny because Bonnie and Clyde actually died.
Gotcha. Yeah.
A lot of them that didn't necessarily. So it's double funny. That's how good I am.
Well, I mean, we can at least tee it up, right? So what would they? What's the premise? So killer couples.
Okay.
Where are we keeping it to just horror stuff?
Here's the premise. Paul said it. List episode. Okay. Not strictly horror. A lot of them are horror, and even some of the ones that aren't. Actually, most of them are. But even some of the ones that aren't. I mean, they're movies about horror, or about murderers. So like horror or thriller, with the exception of one pair, which is one that you said throughout, Jesse. I'll hold on to that because that's pretty good. Although I don't know, like I don't know if Jesse, if you'll be available to join us for that, because I'd like you to like run through that one. If you want, we could probably.
Valentine's Day is was Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. Yeah. Hit me up and I'll be able to give you a better idea once I know what's going on. But I'm living day to day, ladies and gentlemen. One day at a time.
Changes.
Yeah.
It's the addictions. The one day at a time always makes me think of that. Somebody says that, I'm like,
it's all of my addictions.
No. Oh man, he's not stopping his bad habits.
No, I'm no quitter.
Okay, no, that's a great idea. So we will do a special episode, and I figure we'll run through these killer couples. Mm-hmm. And maybe talk a little bit about the movie or about them as a couple, why we do or don't like them. Because like I said, top 10, but like they're not necessarily my top 10 favorite. I don't, they're just, it's a 10 list of 10 that are very memorable.
Uh-huh.
And we'll do as we do, probably go much longer than anticipated.
Right.
I'm going to try not to. Some of them I don't have anything to say about, which means I'll have a lot to say.
Exactly. Because we'll just say a thing and then we'll be like, that's fascinating. Let's talk about that some more.
Yep.
Paul says time ? Oh, Paul.
Oh, you know better. Valentine's Day ish.
Yeah. Yep. You nailed it. Valentine's Day ish. So, anytime between now and 2 weeks.
Right.
We should probably figure it out and then put out a post.
We'll post, yeah.
With a more accurate-ish time, at least. So, at least you'll have it.
Yeah. So about 30 minutes till, we'll make a post telling you what time, and then we'll come on about 45 minutes after that post time.
And the best part of this is that we usually release these episodes on Monday, which would be the 15th. So if you're listening to the audio version of this, you already missed it.
This is all irrelevant.
Wibbly wobbly, baby.
And Randy's probably going to forget and just leave all this in anyway. So,
right.
You know what? You should go to grawlixpodcast.com, or you should also go to patreon.com/grawlixpodcast. It's GRAWLIX podcast. For some reason, I was thinking we're going to stream it. It's for Patreon, but like if it's we're talking about it here, we should probably just stream it.
Yeah, probably
live on a normal place.
Yeah, we should.
It.
I think we should stream it live normal. Although we do appreciate our Patreons even more than we already appreciate our regular fans. We had alluded to the fact that we were going to do a killer couple segment for Valentine's Day. So I think it's only fair that we offer that to the people who listen to us on the regular.
Right. As per usual, we always go long, and we're trying to trim these up shorter. So Grolix will come to your screen sometime between the hours of now and the end of time, Paul says.
And let's face it, not now.
Think of whatever time would be most convenient for you. Definitely not that time.
No, come on. You'll probably be sleeping.
Yeah.
Or there's a show, or there's another podcast, because we like to do that too. Like, oh, there's another show. That's our night. We're doing it.
Paul, I think you might be the only one there, actually.
No. That's okay. We still love you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Hey, Melanie.
Yes.
Anything we should be amazed about?
Oh, I forgot. Hold on a second. I'm sure there's tons. There's always tons.
I don't think I have too much coming up. I'll just run through that real quick. Yeah, I don't have anything too much coming up that I can think of. I'm gonna try to start getting EMC crossovers or something similar going. Maybe like another. So that'll be another possibly live stream every other week, twice a month, once a month over on the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network Facebook page. So that's worth checking out.
That'd be great. There's a lot of good shows on there. So like
yeah.
It'd be fun to touch base with some of the guys and gals that we haven't heard from in a while.
Yeah. The network needs it. We need to touch base and we need to come together. Yeah, I missed it because it was a good opportunity to get to know other people on the network better. And a lot of good things came as a result of that. So it'd be good to do that again. And also like catch up with some people, be like, so what's going on these days? It's been, like
where is years. Johnny Rock?
I don't know, dude. I don't know what's going on with DJ Johnny Rock.
Did Neil and Johnny
they
go on a time travel adventure and nobody told us?
They had an epic 7-8 part episode 100.
And then just retired.
And then
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm a little jealous. Somebody beat us to our own plans.
Right. We didn't even know those were our plans.
Paul said part 1 of my 2-part Larry Houston episode drops in the morning. Oh, cool.
Speaking of X-Men animated series.
Yeah.
That guy.
Is that going to be on just Bullspit with Moose? Which, listener, if you want to check out Paul's podcast, he has 2, and he's always interviewing fantastic guests, notable guests. You can find his show at electronicmediacollective.com as well.
I have too many wonderful things that I could talk about.
Pick one.
Oh gosh.
Just one of them.
Pick the easiest to comprehend.
While Melanie's figuring out which one, I kind of read a multiverse kind of thing that is a comic book. It's an actual comic book that is Marvel too. Do you remember when Secret Wars was happening?
Forever ago.
I mean, that's forever ago. Yeah, where Doom basically was God and split the universe into multiverses. Mm-hmm. And one of those multiverses was where they undid probably the worst thing they've ever done in Spider-Man history, which was the One More Day, where they undid MJ and Peter Parker's marriage. So that's what this is. It's a 5-story arc where that never happened. And so I finally finished it.
Oh, is that reaching back to that's not newly released? Is that just...
No, back when I was still buying physical copies of comic books and I had a stack, I still have that stack. So I decided to read some off the top of that stack.
That's how
far behind I am.
This is so appropriately Marvel. Paul asked, Which Secret Wars?
The most recent Secret Wars that is called Secret Wars.
There's never
not
been a
Secret War and not Secret War 2. This is Secret Wars.
It's never been a more appropriately comic book question.
For real. It's a legit question too. That's a fair question to ask because yeah.
Okay. I'm going to mention the two that I'm not going to talk about and then talk about the one that I'm going to talk about very briefly. Okay. The two that I'm not going to talk about, the things you should be amazed by, is the first one, physicists encode information in a hologram using quantum leap. And that's, I think, really just clickbait because it has nothing to do with quantum leap. I love that show. But
yeah, where's Scott Bakula? Did he program this?
It was in the hologram angle too. Like which hologram? Hologram Michael Jackson? Hologram Tupac Shakur? Which one?
It's basically they're using quantum entanglement when they make holograms, and then they can add extra information into it. But that's not what we're talking about. We are also not talking about machines, which is not machines, artificial intelligence, inventing new math that we've never seen, but that do work. Are new like proofs of,
new math.
Yes. Not anything that the regular person is going to ever have to learn, though, like, calculus and physics type math. So that happened. That's cool, but that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, which it hits a lot closer to home for me and probably a lot of people. They did a study, and postmortems reveal clear differences in the brain cells of people with depression, which you wouldn't necessarily think it, but if you have ever suffered from depression, and I am one of the many people on the planet who has, sometimes you feel like you're just, you need to get over it. It's just, it's you. It's not real. But no, there is actual cells in the brain called astrocytes. It's a type of support cell that helps to shuttle around nutrients and keep molecules charged and in balance, and it heals trauma to the brain and the spinal cord that are lacking in people with depression. Like they have them, they're just far less, and they're far less healthy. And right now it's not going to make a huge difference, but just knowing that is a fact that they can look into and study and build upon and hopefully help people in the future who have depression is kind of uplifting to people like me, that have had depression my entire life and struggle with it still. It's a big deal, and it's something that I wanted to share with everybody.
Right. Yeah, no. Yeah, you were telling me about that the other day, and it's interesting because there is a physical, other than just, it does have to do with chemical. They always would say chemical imbalance.
Yeah, they would say
stuff like that.
Yeah, chemical balance or chemical imbalance in the brain or whatever, the neurotransmitter deficiencies, that kind of thing. Yes. But this is more specific, so that's helpful, because otherwise it's just like, well, let's throw this at it and see if that's the right chemical that you need, and then it's kind of a game of trial and error, and
often also, I'm sorry, not to cut you off, Randy, but also from my experience, oftentimes they're like, you're depressed, you need this, as like an SSRI is usually what they prescribe, but they don't actually test your levels to see if that's what the issue is. They just kind of throw like, well, this is the current popular drug, we're going to throw that at you and see how you react to it. And and I don't necessarily think that's always a solution. And the more the more we can find out about the causes of not just depression but other like Alzheimer's or other deficiencies in the brain, the better off we will be as a species. And it's super hard to do that on a living brain. and it's also kind of hard to get that information from postmortems unless you're looking for something specific and then can find it. So this is a great study, in my opinion, because they did already have an idea of what they were looking for. They found clear evidence of it and are able to draw conclusions, and then that will help them get funding for further studies to help in the process. Because science is a wonderful thing, but it's difficult because you can't really do it without the money, and you can't really get the money unless you have some kind of concrete evidence that you'll get results.
Right.
So I'm really excited about this, and I just wanted to share it with everybody.
Yeah, for sure. So be amazed.
Yes, be amazed that our brains are weird and complicated as poop.
Even when we're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Jesse, you got anything else to mention? You got anything coming up? Anything exciting?
No.
Just busy with life. Huh?
Yeah, that, and we did talk a little bit about Cobra Kai. So I'll just kick it back to the Covert Nerd episode one more time. I know I've been mentioning it, but Lee was on here earlier talking Cobra Kai with us in the chat. So one more time, check out covertnerd.net and find the Cobra Kai season 3 breakdown, or even the old one where we talked about Cobra Kai season 1 and 2 over there, if you wanted more of that talk.
Yeah. Do it.
All
right. That's it. Have a good weekend, everybody, and have a good Valentine's Day. We'll be back sometime between now and the end of time for our Valentine's Day special.
Probably before the 100 cut is released.
Oh, we didn't even do Snyder Watch.
Oh, that's okay.
Hold on. We are ending the show. Don't worry. This will not take long. Last minute Snyder Watch. Zack Snyder released a teaser trailer for the trailer to be released for Justice League this Valentine's Day, the 14th. A teaser trailer for an alternate cut of a movie we've seen multiple trailers of, and a totally alternate version of the movie.
And Jared Leto is long hair.
Less focus, less out of focus.
Right. Slightly less unfocused.
Can I real quick too?
Please.
If you don't, if you're not, I don't know if it's subscribed to the Growlix podcast Facebook page, you may have missed a post that Randall shared of how it should have ended, which
it's so good.
Also he, which I recommend anyway. It's a fantastic channel. This is one of the best he's I've ever seen.
For Wonder Woman 1984.
Wonder Woman 1984. Fabulous. Go and check it out. It's great.
Yeah. But that was the thing today. Like today it was like teaser, or maybe it was even yesterday. Teaser, a new trailer, teaser trailer, and it's one of those teasers for it's a trailer for a trailer, which annoys me anyway. But the fact that it's a trailer for a movie of which we've already seen trailers for this specific cut of the movie.
Right.
Why are you doing this?
Why do you hate us?
Go home, Jack. Drunk.
Right. Twitter news. This is weird even for Twitter news.
It's so stupid. A trailer for a movie which already has trailers out, and you've already seen a chunk of the movie.
And the movie was released a couple years ago. We're living in the weirdest timeline.
And it is, you know what? It is the darkest timeline.
It is.
Oh yeah, and Paul says, and Joker on the pooper, because the picture of the Jared Leto picture of what he looks like as Joker, which is the same but a suit with long hair. It does look like he's on a toilet. So, and also not the Leatherface Joker, which is a disappointment. Yeah. So once again, put it back in the can, Zach. Put it in the can.
Back in the can.
Flush
in
it.
the can. Oh man.
All right. Thanks,
Did we
everybody.
cast Zack Snyder?
With Scott Snyder. Maybe we'll get a good Batman story out of him.
That would be a good one.
Zach, not Scott. That's the point.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Good night.